Hi, St. John's. Kevin again with some story time. Today, I'm going to be reading from one of my favorite books that I read to my boys um, all the time. They just really enjoyed the heck out of it. Read it at many schools in Royal Oak when there was reading month, and kids seem to really get a kick out of it. Kids of all ages, and it's Roald Dahl's Revolting Rhymes. We'll read a couple stories out of it. My camera likes shorter stories than one I did yesterday. I had to do a lot of editing to put multiple videos together yesterday. That's why I was so late getting in, but I hope this is not past anyone's bedtime and you can enjoy this. We're going to start out with these are takes on classic tales. So we're going to start out with Cinderella. So Cinderella, I guess you think you know this story. You don't. The real one's much more gory. The phony one, the one you know, was cooked up years and years ago and made to sound all soft and sappy just to keep the children happy. Mind you, they got the first bit right. The bit where, in the dead of night, the ugly sisters, jewels and all, departed for the palace ball, while darling little Cinderella was locked up in the slimy cellar, where rats who wanted things to eat began to nibble at her feet. She bellowed help and let me out, and the magic fairy heard her shout. Appearing in the blaze of night, she said, "My dear, are you all right?" "All right," cried Cindy. "Can't you see? I feel as rotten as can be." She beat her fist against the wall and shouted, "Get me to the ball! There's a disco at the palace. The rest have gone and I am jealous. I want a dress, I want a coach, and earrings and a diamond brooch." Here's a little picture of the lovely stepsisters and the fairy godmother and rats. And silver slippers, two of those, and lovely nylon pantyhose. Thereafter it will be a cinch to hook the handsome royal prince. The fairy said, "Hang on a tick." She gave her wand a mighty flick, and quickly, in no time at all, Cindy was at the palace ball. It made the ugly sisters wince to see her dancing with the prince. She held him very tight and pressed herself against his manly chest. The prince himself was turned to pulp. All he could do was gasp and gulp. Gulp. Then midnight struck. She shouted, "Heck! I've got to run to save my neck." The prince cried, "No, alas, alack!" He grabbed her dress to hold her back. As Cindy shouted, "Let me go!" the dress was ripped from toe to toe. She ran out in her underwear, but lost one slipper on a stair. The prince was on her like a dart, and pressed it to his pounding heart. "The girl this slipper fits," he cried, "tomorrow morn shall be my bride. I'll visit every house in town until I've tracked a maiden down." Then rather carelessly, I fear, he placed it on a crate of beer. At once one of the ugly sisters, the one whose face was blotched with blisters, sneaked up and grabbed the dainty shoe and quickly flushed it down the loo. Then in its place she calmly put the slipper from her own left foot. Aha, you see, the plot goes thicker, and Cindy's luck starts looking sicker. Next day, Prince went charging down to knock on all the doors in town. In every house the tension grew. Who was the owner of the shoe? The huge was huge and frightfully wide. A normal foot got lost inside. It also smelled a wee bit icky. The owner's feet were hot and sticky. Thousands of eager people came to try it on, but all in vain. Now came the ugly sisters go. One tried it on. The prince screamed no, but she screamed yes, it fits. Whoopee! So now you've got to marry me. The prince went white from ear to ear. He muttered, "Let's get out of here." "Oh, no, you don't. You've made a vow. There's no way you can back out now." "Off with her head," the prince roared back. They chopped it off with one big whack. This pleased the prince. He smiled and said, "She's prettier without her head." Then came up sister number 2, who yelled, "Now I will try the shoe." "Try this instead!" the prince yelled back. He swung his trusty sword and smack! Oh no! Her head went crashing to the ground. It bounced a bit and rolled around. In the kitchen peeling spuds, Cinderella heard the thuds of bouncing heads upon the floor, and poked her own head round the door. "What's all the racket?" Cindy cried. "Mind your own biz," the prince replied. Poor Cindy's heart was torn to shreds. "My prince," she thought, "he chops off heads! How could I marry anyone who does that sort of thing for fun?" The prince cried, "Who is this dirty—" Well, we're not going to say that. "Off with her nut! Off with her nut!" Just then, in all a blaze of light, the magic fairy hove in sight. Her magic wand would whoosh and swish. "Cindy," she cried, "come make a wish. Wish anything, and have no doubt that I will make it come about." She answered, "O kind fairy, this time I shall be more wary. No more princes, no more money. I've had my taste of honey. I'm wishing for a decent man. They're hard to find. Do you think you can?" Within a minute, Cinderella was married to a lovely fella, a simple jam maker by trade, who sold good homemade marmalade. Their house was filled with smiles and laughter, and they were happy ever after. A little different take. Not many pictures, but hope you enjoyed that. A little short tale for today, and I found it kind of funny, and I hope you did too. Hope the chopping of heads wasn't over the top, but have a great evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.